video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So basically, what are you reading at the minute? Let's talk about Anthony Burgess. Let's completely change tack. Nadia, you want to talk about Roth?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Roth. Philip Roth. I am currently reading the American trilogy, which is a series of 3 novels. The first one is called American Pastoral, and I've completely forgotten what it's about. I've just completely forgotten the plot and the story of American Pastoral. Let me try because I'm so immersed in the second one of the trilogy, which is I Married a Communist. Oh, American Pastoral. Okay, so Nathan Zuckerberg, who is the alter ego, the avatar, if you like, of Philip Roth himself, is a character, but he writes in the first person as though he is Nathan Zuckerberg, is a novelist like Roth, born in 1933 like Roth, born in Newark like Roth, went to Wequahic High School just like Roth, graduated in 1950 just like Roth. Nathan Zuckerman is talking and reminiscing about a guy that he went to school with called Swede Lvov, who's a Jew but is blonde and is an amazing sporting idol, over 6 foot tall, fantastic, and seems to be going through life without a care in the world, and the world's at his feet. But years later, Nathan comes across Swede Lvov in his old age, and he's 70, and he's been suffering from cancer, prostate cancer or something, and he wants Zuckerberg, who was a friend of his younger brother, to help him write some eulogy to his recently deceased father. But he ends up talking to him, and they have a meeting in a restaurant, some Italian restaurant in New York, and they never get onto the business of this supposed, he wrote him a letter, said, look, can you help me write something with my father? And it ends up being a reminiscence of Swede Lvov's early life, and also subsequently he catches up with Swede Lvov's later life, and he has a marriage and a child, and the child ends up being a vociferous opponent of the American involvement in Vietnam. And she becomes very, very politically active, and that causes all sorts of problems. And without giving away any spoilers, that's basically what's going on. The second book of the trilogy, I Married a Communist, which I'm about 2/3 of the way through, is again Nathan Zuckerberg talking about his formative years when he meets a communist sympathizing character who schools him in the ways of opposing the regime, the American regime, and saying, look, you want to stand up for the working man. I think he supports a candidate, but Roth has a kind of alternative history. So been recently watching a documentary, the Ken Burns documentary on the Roosevelts, which is well worth watching. And Theodore Roosevelt, of course, was American president from 1901 to 1909, and famously said he doesn't want to have a third term. He doesn't think any president should have a third term, and then regretted it, and then tried to campaign to get back into office and to become the Republican candidate in 1912, but they reject him. And then he forms his own party, the Progressive Party, which he has a short-lived escapade with, and then he finally makes peace with the Republican Party. He's effectively a Democrat now, but in those days he was a reforming president with left-wing sympathies. His nephew, of course, was Franklin Delano.